The ninth episode of House of the Dragon Season 1 is titled The Green Council. The episode begins with Alicent's maid entering her room late at night to wake her with urgent news. The king is dead. Alicent quickly rises and instructs her maid to tell no one. A small council meeting is urgently called. Before it begins, Alicent tells her father, the Hand of the King, that Viserys wished for Aegon to succeed him as king. She insists she is telling the truth, though she was the only one who heard the king's declaration. When the council meeting begins, Alicent shares this with everyone. Every member except Lord Beesbury supports her claim. Lord Beesbury, who has known King Viserys for 67 years, stands up and argues that the king would never change his mind so abruptly. He points out the convenience of only Aegon's mother hearing this supposed wish, calling it treason and a seizure of power. Sir Criston forces him to sit down, accidentally killing him by banging his head onto the table. Lord Westerling, commander of the City Watch, orders Sir Criston to remove his armor and blade immediately, and he complies after the Queen's instruction. Lord Hightower states that Rhaenyra and Daemon will not accept this passively and will do everything they can to gather support for Rhaenyra's claim. Alicent asks what he plans to do with Rhaenyra, and he responds that they must act swiftly. He proposes giving Rhaenyra and Daemon a chance to publicly swear their obedience. If they refuse, they will be killed. Alicent protests, saying that Viserys loved his daughter and would not want her killed. Lord Lannister asks her what alternative she suggests if not killing Rhaenyra and Daemon. When Alicent has no better answer, Lord Hightower orders Lord Commander Westerling to go to Dragonstone, where Rhaenyra and Daemon are. However, Westerling asserts that as Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, he will not take orders until a new king is crowned. Alicent visits Rhaenys in her room, where she is confined. She tells her that the king is dead, and Rhaenys is taken aback by the news. Alicent then asks for Rhaenys' support for Aegon's claim to the throne. When Rhaenys questions if Alicent intends to usurp Rhaenyra's throne, Alicent responds that supporting Rhaenyra has brought Rhaenys nothing. She points out that Rhaenys' daughter died alone in Pentos, her son was cuckolded, and her husband has been away for years fighting a battle. Alicent offers Rhaenys Driftmark in exchange for her support. Rhaenys tells Alicent that she's always slaved away at men's wishes and asks her if she has ever imagined herself on the Iron Throne. Alicent, taken aback, walks away, instructing Rhaenys to give the Queen her answer soon. Both the Lord Hand and Alicent scramble to find Aegon, who is nowhere to be found within the palace walls. Lord Hightower sends his personal guard, the two brothers Eric and Eric, to find Aegon, while the Queen sends Sir Criston Cole. Aemond says that he knows the places where Aegon frequents, and he can take Sir Criston there. The Queen hesitantly allows Aemond to go along with Cole. On the way there, Aemond states his desire for the Iron Throne and says that Aegon is not suited to rule, and it is he who studies history and philosophy and would be a much better king. A race ensues between both search parties to see who can find Aegon first. When Eric and Arik get to Flea Bottom, a place where children no older than 10 are thrown into a pit to fight each other. They are approached by a servant who tells them that she can take them to Aegon, but her mistress will only talk to Lord Hightower himself. She further says that the Lord Hightower would be interested in what the White Worm has to say. Lord Hightower meets with the White Worm, who turns out to be Lady Mysaria, Daemon's former paramour. She informs the Hand that the prince is safely hidden. She also criticizes the Crown's negligence, which has allowed Flea Bottom to run unchecked, leading to the destruction of many children's lives. Mysaria demands the permanent closure of the Children's Fight Club in exchange for information about the prince's whereabouts. The Hand agrees to her demands and also gives her the gold she requested. However, Aemond and Cole observe this meeting and begin following Eric and Eric to the prince's hiding place. The brothers lead them to a church, where Aegon is concealed under the largest central table. Eric and Eric retrieve him, but are confronted by Aemond and Cole outside the church. A fight ensues, with Cole defeating one of the brothers while the other escapes after watching the fight from a distance. Aegon is then taken to the Queen by Aemond and Cole. Meanwhile, Eric, who had managed to escape Cole and Aemond, quickly finds Rhaenys, who has been imprisoned in her room by Alicent. He gives her a cloak and tells her he cannot let this treachery stand, urging her to follow him. At dawn, he leads her out of the castle and into the city. However, the celebrations for Aegon's anointment have already begun, and people are being herded towards the palace by the gold cloaks like sheep. Rhaenys gets caught among the onrushing crowd and becomes separated from Ser Erich. She is forced to go to the palace where Aegon is being anointed. Rhaenys watches as Lord Hightower announces that on his deathbed, the king asked for his first true-born son, Aegon, to be made king. Ser Criston places the crown on Aegon's head, proclaiming him king and protector of the Seven Kingdoms. Aegon raises his sword, Blackfire, the same sword that Aegon the Conqueror wielded, and the crowd cheers him on. Seeing an opportunity to escape, Rhaenys quickly slips away and makes her way to the dragon pit. As the cheers continue, a sudden loud thud is heard, and a wall collapses, killing many people. A dragon's screech echoes through the chaos as everyone starts running in panic. Rhaenys bursts in, riding her dragon, and brings it close to Alicent and Aegon. Alicent steps in front of Aegon, closing her eyes and seemingly accepting her fate, believing that Rhaenys is about to burn them. The dragon opens its mouth and lets out the most deafening and terrifying growl anyone has ever heard, but does not breathe fire. Rhaenys casts one last intimidating look at the whole family before riding away on Dragonback, leaving Alicent looking on, worried to death. This concludes the 9th episode of House of the Dragon Season 1. The 10th episode and the season finale of House of the Dragon Season 1 is titled The Black Queen. The episode starts off with Princess Rhaenys hurrying back to Dragonstone on Dragonback and requesting an audience with Rhaenyra and Daemon. She lays the news on them that King Viserys is dead, and Alicent has made her son, Aegon, the king of the Seven Kingdoms in front of the masses. Daemon asks Rhaenys about how the king died, and Rhaenys says that she does not know. Daemon proclaims to Rhaenyra that Viserys has been slain, and the Hightowers have usurped the throne for Aegon. Rhaenys warns both of them that they should leave Dragonstone at once as the Greens will be there soon. However, as soon as Rhaenys says this, Rhaenyra's water breaks, and she enters a premature pregnancy. The Maesters are all alarmed by this, as Rhaenyra isn't due for a few weeks yet. As Daemon starts preparing for war, Rhaenyra calls Jace and Luke and instructs them to let everyone know that no decision shall be taken while she is abed. Within the council room, Rhaenyra's cries of pain echo, refusing assistance from midwives and maids. With unparalleled bravery, she delivers the baby herself, only to suffer the heart-wrenching loss as the child passes in her arms. The child is then laid to rest according to the Targaryen customs. Amidst the mourning, Ser Erich arrives at Dragonstone, swearing fealty to Queen Rhaenyra and bestowing upon her a crown. Daemon, with solemn reverence, places the crown upon her head, symbolizing her ascension. All but Princess Rhaenys pay homage to the new Queen Rhaenyra, who stands resolute in her sovereignty. Meanwhile, Daemon receives news that a small ship bearing the emblem of 3 dragons approaches Dragonstone. Reacting swiftly, he orders his men to prepare for potential conflict and strides out to confront the incoming delegation. Led by Lord Hightower himself, the Green delegation presents itself, claiming to act on behalf of King Aegon. They come bearing terms for Princess Rhaenyra. However, before Lord Hightower can fully articulate the terms, Rhaenyra makes a dramatic entrance astride her dragon, soaring over the delegation and landing in their midst. Lord Hightower proceeds to outline the terms. If Princess Rhaenyra pledges fealty to King Aegon, he will recognize her authority at Dragonstone. The succession would then pass to her son, Jacaerys Targaryen. Luke would inherit Driftmark, and Rhaenyra's other sons would be granted noble positions at the royal court. Rhaenyra starts off by saying that it's Queen Rhaenyra now. Lord Hightower presents her with a nostalgic page of a book that Rhaenyra and Alicent bonded over when they were best friends in their youth. Lord Hightower says that the Queen hasn't forgotten those times and wises that there should be no bloodshed. Daemon, who's had enough of Lord Hightower, orders Ser Erich to bring him the head of Otto Hightower, but Rhaenyra stops him. She says that the Hightowers will have their answer on the morrow and walks back to the Dragonstone castle. Meanwhile, Lord Corlys Velaryon arrives at Dragonstone after having broken his fever. Rhaenys stands beside his bed until Lord Corlys wakes up. She breaks the news to him that King Viserys is dead, and the Hightowers have put Aegon on the throne. She also tells him how Vaemond lost his life after insulting Rhaenyra and her children. Lord Corlys says that heedless ambition has cost House Velaryon, and they'll not align themselves with anyone now. Rhaenys, however, reminds him that their grandchildren are claimants to the throne, and that they will never be safe so long as Aegon is king. Hearing this, Lord Corlys makes his way down to the meeting room in a weak state. He pledges his loyalty to Rhaenyra and says that all his ships and fleet are hers to command. This puts a smile on Rhaenyra's face, and she tells Lord Corlys that she is honored. As everyone urges Rhaenyra to head into war, it is only Rhaenyra who shows restraint. She says that she wants to know who her allies are before plunging the realm into war. Rhaenyra further says that if war does happen, the first strike will not be from her blade, as her father instructed her to keep peace at all costs. Afterwards, Lord Corlys asks Rhaenyra who her allies are, and she says that she is hoping House Arryn, Baratheon, and Stark will remember the oaths that they swore to her and come under her banner. Lord Corlys tells her that hope is the fool's ally, and she should quickly get her message across to these houses. Jacaerys suggests that instead of sending ravens, Rhaenyra should send him and Luke to these houses because dragons are faster and more convincing than ravens. Lord Corlys also affirms this suggestion, and Rhaenyra agrees. She sends Jacaerys to House Stark and Arryn and Luke to Storm's End to deliver the message to Lord Boros Baratheon. Before sending them away, she makes them swear oaths that they will go only as messengers and not as warriors, and will not partake in any sort of fighting. Both brothers swear this before the seven gods. Meanwhile, Daemon travels to Dragonmont and awakens the giant dragon Vermithor by singing to him in High Valyrian. Vermithor had not been ridden since the death of Daemon's grandfather, Jaehaerys Targaryen. Lucerys flies off to Storm's End and is surprised to see that Vhagar is already parked there. He is escorted inside in front of Lord Boros Baratheon, who asks him to present his message from Rhaenyra. Luke gets scared when he sees Aemon standing in Baratheon's court, looking menacing. Lord Boros asks Luke which of his daughters he will marry, but Luke replies that he is betrothed and therefore not free to marry. Lord Boros gets cross at this and says that Luke has come empty-handed while Aemon has decided to marry one of Lord Boros' daughters. He tells Luke that he can go tell his mother that he will pledge loyalty to King Aegon. When Luke is about to return to his dragon, Aemon tells him to stop. He tells him that he has a debt to pay, throws his knife towards him, and tells him to cut off one of his eyes. When Luke refuses, Aemon hurls himself at him but is stopped by Lord Boros' voice. The Baratheon Lord says that there will be no bloodshed under his roof, and orders his guards to escort Luke back to his dragon. When Luke gets outside, he is greeted by a huge storm, which makes Arrax, his dragon, uneasy. He mounts Arrax after telling his dragon to calm down and obey him. As Luke flies into the storm, Aemond and Vhagar catch up to them and attack them. Vhagar, who is many times bigger and stronger than Arrax, chases Arrax around the storm while Aemond laughs cynically and reminds Luke that he's here for his eye. Arrax, however, due to its smaller size, manages to evade Vhagar into a narrow ridge, and when it re-emerges, it attacks Vhagar and breathes fire at it out of its own accord, not listening to Luke's commands. This angers Vhagar, who follows Luke and Arrax out of the storm and, in one bite, kills both Luke and Arrax in 2 pieces. Horror appears on Aemon's face as he knows that he's made a costly mistake. Afterwards, Daemon walks up to Rhaenyra when she's busy with the other lords trying to strategize and breaks this news to her. She trembles at first, but recovers quickly before turning around and giving an ominous and determined look into the camera. This concludes the 10th and final episode of House of the Dragon Season 1. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please be sure to comment, hit the like button, and subscribe.